Welcome everybody to today's HLAA product showcase webinar featuring CaptionMate. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Amanda Watson and I'm the meeting planner for HLAA and your host today. Today's presentation is being recorded and will be available for playback at a later time on the HLAA website at hearingloss.org. This is the disclaimer that HLAA does not endorse the product featured in this webinar. HLAA is providing an educational opportunity to learn about this product and how it could benefit people with hearing loss. Now I'll give you some technical tips to get started. To see the captions on this webinar, you'll need to click on the CC icon and click on Show Subtitle. You can change the font size in subtitle settings. Chat is available for technical issues only and panelists only. We would like participants to please use the Q&A icon to ask questions. We will be using this to facilitate questions and answers after the presentation. If you have joined by computer, the presentation should be in side-by-side mode. Slides are on the left and panelists are on the right in gallery view. You can change the size of your side-by-side view by hovering between the two screens and moving the gray bar to adjust your desired size. If you've joined by mobile device or phone, your view may be different and you may have to scroll between views to the desired one. Our presenter today is Jon Gray, who is a business manager for CaptionMate. Jon is involved with the company's product development, sales, and strategy. He has over 17 years of experience developing products for individuals with hearing loss. Jon has also served as the Director of Sales for Clarity Products, LLC, and Senior Product Manager for Plantronics, where he successfully brought one of the first IP CTS, Internet Protocol Caption Telephone Service, phones to market. Jon is joined by his associate, Beryl Butcher, who will help facilitate questions and answers at the end of the demonstration. Now, Jon, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you for the demonstration. Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Amanda. I appreciate it. And hi, everybody. A little housekeeping very quickly. We don't have a lot of time and we have a lot to cover. So we ask that if you have questions, please type them into the Q&A section and we will leave time at the end to answer as many as we can. And the ones that we can't answer live on the webinar, we will type out and be emailed back to HLAA and be posted on the website with the webinar. So to get started, today we're going to talk about CaptionMate. And CaptionMate is actually part of a larger company named Clarity. Many of you may know. Clarity is the largest manufacturer of amplified telephones and notification systems for individuals with hearing loss for the past 50 years. With everything that's going on, we are still social distancing and working remotely. So hello from Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's where we're located, and we're still at home. CaptionMate is defined as IP CTS, Internet Protocol Captioned Telephone Service. And that's just a fancy way of saying that it allows a person with hearing loss, like you and I, to read what's being said on a phone call, a live phone call. I like to call it read and talk. I read what's being said and I speak back to the other person. The good news is that there's absolutely no cost to use the service. There's no monthly subscription fee. There's no package deal. There's no cost to use it with Zoom. It is totally 100% free to use because we are paid by a fund that is administered by the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. So this is your tax dollar at work. unlike older captioning technologies that can be slow or delayed and that use third-party operators or captioning assistants, CaptionMate uses ASR, automatic speech recognition, and that allows for faster captioning and for total privacy. We allow the computer to use voice recognition software to transcribe what the other person is saying on the phone call. You don't have to train the system to recognize your voice. And since there's no third-party operator, you have total privacy, which is fantastic. You can be on a phone call with a loved one, or maybe talking to your bank, or even shopping with your credit card, and you don't have to worry. You have total privacy. The conversations are not recorded or stored on our servers, and the transcription is only held on the device that you used to caption the conversation, your device. So while we're talking about security, it's important to note that the caption data is encrypted from end to end, so the service is secure, totally secure. And in fact, it actually exceeds all of the FCC regulations regarding privacy and security. Since CaptionMate is software-based, we work on all devices, which is really important because it gives you the flexibility. So if you have a smartphone, you can simply download the app, the CaptionMate app, from the App Store or the Play Store, depending if you have an iPhone or an Android device. This means that you will need voice and data service, though, because you are making a live phone call. But if you don't have a smartphone, you can still use CaptionMate, which is incredibly great because it gives, once again, you the flexibility. So if you don't have a smartphone and you want to use CaptionMate, you will still need a telephone for the audio portion of the call. So it could be a flip phone or a landline phone, even an office phone. Plus, you will need an internet-connected screen, such as a computer or a tablet, so you can then read the captions. So if you want to use CaptionMate in this way, you use a computer, for example. You simply go to our website, captionmate.com. You log into your account, and you can then talk on your phone and read the captions on the computer screen. So there's total flexibility there. CaptionMate does use real telephony for the audio, just like a normal phone call. So our audio is very clear. We have found that consumers with hearing loss like to use whatever residual hearing they have left during calls. So to us, the audio portion is just as important as the captioning portion of the call. A lot of the other providers and services that are out there do use VoIP, VoIP technology, which is totally dependent on the speed and the reliability of your Wi-Fi. And therefore, you are at the mercy of your internet provider. This means that you or the person that you're talking to can experience choppy or broken audio during the call, and that can be very frustrating, and it can make communication difficult. When we're discussing captioning, especially one that uses automatic speech recognition like CaptionMate, everybody wants to know how fast is it, how accurate is it, and I'm happy to say that it is both fast and accurate. Actually, before we were certified as an IP CTS provider, the FCC had their independent testing lab do comparison tests with CaptionMate against the other captioning services and found that we were faster and as, if not more accurate than the other services that were available. In fact, the testing showed that CaptionMate scored extremely well in difficult situations with accuracy with complex medical terminology. So in situations where the human captionist might not have scored so well with complex medical terms, CaptionMate scores very well. We are asked a lot about the accuracy for people with strong accents, and we have found that if a third-party operator can understand the accent, so can CaptionMate. We do offer voicemail as a feature with our service. It's just part of the app when you get it and part of the service. You can turn voicemail on, or if you choose not to have it, you can keep it off. But voicemail is a great feature because if you miss a call, it allows you to read your voicemail after the fact. You have captioned voicemail. We're available in all 50 states and the US territories, and you can make international calls on CaptionMate. Also, if English is not your first language, we do caption in over 100 languages. Pardon me. As far as registration goes, you simply have to download the CaptionMate app and register on your mobile device or on the website, captionmate.com. And when you register, you will be asked for some personal information that is required by the FCC, such as the last 4 digits of your social security number and your date of birth. And the reason the FCC requires this is to help stop fraud and abuse. But I wanted to let you know that you will be asked for that information when you register. And as far as hearing loss, you are required by the FCC to self-certify or electronically sign your name, testifying that you do indeed have hearing loss or the need of this type of technology to communicate on the phone. So you do not need an audiogram, you don't need a doctor's note, you simply self-certify as having the need while you register. And just like any other captioning service, when you register for CaptionMate, you are assigned a CaptionMate phone number. During registration, this means that people will need to call your CaptionMate number for you to get captions on an incoming call. We've been working on call forwarding for the past few months, and call forwarding allows people then to call your normal cell phone number, not your CaptionMate number, which is a great feature. And since our culture, the CaptionMate culture, is built on honesty and transparency, I have absolutely no problems telling you that we were ready to launch call forwarding, but after extensive consumer testing, we felt it wasn't quite up to our standards, so we delayed the release. But the good news is that the feedback that we received from all of our consumer testers was wonderful, and it allowed us to make the appropriate changes, and I'm happy to announce that call forwarding will be available by March 1st at the latest. Everybody also always asks if you can use CaptionMate on Zoom meetings such as this, and the answer is yes. In fact, I'm using it right now, and you can also use it on multi-user platforms such as Microsoft Teams or WebEx or any of these types of services, and there's no cost to do so. As I've said, I'm actually using it right now. I have a split screen going. I have CaptionMate on one side and I have the Zoom meeting going on the other, and I'm actually talking on my phone that's on speakerphone. So what I'm going to do is give you a very quick demonstration and share my screen with you so you can see what's happening and watch CaptionMate in action. So let me share my screen. And hopefully you can see the captions running. And as I talk, you'll notice that at the very bottom, there is something called the live chat, and that's what this box is at the bottom. And then as I'm done talking, it goes up into a speech bubble, which is kind of like text messaging. And if somebody else was to speak, you would see my side of the conversation on one side of the screen and the other person's on the other side of the screen. And I can decide to change that if I'd like. It's all up to you as the user, how you want to configure the text by color, by font size, etc. So as you can see, this is what CaptionMate looks like on your computer with Zoom. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this because it looks like my time is up and I want to leave enough time for Q&A. So what I'm going to do is stop sharing that and go back to the normal presentation. And I'd love to bring in Beryl and see if we can look at some of the questions that are being asked in the Q&A. Before we start that, I do want to let you know that we do offer weekly webinars for CaptionMate. They're free. And if you go to our website, captionmate.com, and you click on the tab that says Learn More, you can scroll down and there's a calendar of events. And all you have to do is join one of the Zoom meetings that we offer every week. And you can jump on like this on a Zoom meeting and we can give you one-on-one help, or we can talk about captioning, whatever you need. We're there for you, and there's no cost, obviously. We're here to help. So we do offer weekly Zoom meetings. Our team also offers, if you need a one-on-one phone call or email, whatever it takes, our support team is here to help. So you can always reach out to us at support, S-U-P-P-O-R-T, support@captionmate.com. So with that, let me bring in Beryl, and let's see some of the questions that we have in the Q&A.
Okay, sure. Jon, one of the questions that keeps coming up is whether or not CaptionMate works with a variety of products, whether it is Google Duo or Meetup or Zoom, or there's a lot of different Hangouts and Skype. And the question is whether it works with those.
That's a great question. So CaptionMate is a multi-platform system. That means that it can run on multiple platforms at the same time. So for example, it can be running on my phone, on my computer screen, and everything else. With Zoom or these video type platforms, I can't speak for them all because I haven't used them all, but I have used Teams and WebEx and Zoom, and I've used quite a few of them. As long as you're provided a dial-in number, like I've done, I dialed in on my phone, so I'm talking on my phone. It's just sitting down here, so you didn't see it. But as long as I can dial in on my phone and then view the captions on my computer screen, it's going to work. So I can't speak for every one of those platforms because I don't know them all. But I can tell you that if in a situation like this, as long as you have a dial-in number and internet access on another screen, you will certainly be able to use the service.
So we have another question that's somewhat similar, and someone wants to know why you're using your cell phone for audio.
That's a great question. The FCC requires IP CTS providers to do certain things and not do certain things. And for instance, we're not allowed to provide texting or video on our platforms. Video is for video, VRS. It's more probably ASL or American Sign Language based with sign language interpreters. We're only allowed to provide captioned telephone service. And so with that, we need a dial-in number. If somebody just sent me a Zoom link and I just clicked on the link, it's strictly going through the computer and there's no telephone involved. So by dialing in on my telephone, I'm actually making a telephone call, which is what we are all about.
We have another question asking for step-by-step instructions for Zoom. So maybe you can talk about our YouTube channel for a second.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So just like other apps, if you're into, I'm trying to think of some apps here, maybe Facebook or Snapchat or whatever you're into, you're not going to find a user manual, a printed user manual. We're an app. We don't have a printed user manual. But what we do is we do have a YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and type in CaptionMate, you'll find our YouTube channel. And on our YouTube channel, we post videos. And those are step-by-step how-to instructional videos that you can watch and learn how to do certain things like how to use the voicemail, how to change the font size, how to make a call on Android or iOS. Pardon me. And so we constantly post videos, and a lot of people like to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So when a new video is posted, they're alerted and they go and watch. And so I would highly recommend checking out the YouTube channel and watching some of the videos.
Here's another question. They want to know if we plan to add ASL Sign Translation for the deaf who don't speak well.
Great question, and the short answer is no. We are not allowed to. It's not that we don't want to, but we, once again, as I mentioned, are restricted by the IP CTS regulations. ASL or any kind of translation service does not fall within our purview or what we're allowed to do. So unfortunately, that would be a different app that we would have to build, but not on the CaptionMate platform.
In meetings that are held by Zoom or MS Teams that we're talking about dialing into, do all the participants have to dial into that number, or just the CaptionMate user?
No, the only person that would need to dial in is the CaptionMate user, and that's so you can connect to the service and see the captions on your screen. You know, for example, I had a business meeting the other day and I dialed in. There was 10 people on the meeting. I don't think any of the other people dialed in. They just clicked the link and were using the audio on their computer. I dialed in on my phone because I needed to, but I don't think anybody else dialed in. So no, the CaptionMate user will need to dial in, but the other users do not need to if they don't need captions.
Someone has a question about the testing that was done, and if it's okay, John, I'll actually take this question. So the question was that John mentioned that CaptionMate was found superior to other captioning services. And the question is, what other captioning services were you referring to? And I want to be clear about this because it's, we obviously don't want to get into trouble with our competitors or with the testing services. The FCC contracts with MITRE, which is an independent testing facility. They do a lot of governmental testing, including the testing of IP CTS, which is the group that CaptionMate is in. And we don't know how we did one-on-one against each of the competitors. That is confidential information. All we know is that we were tested as part of a group that does ASR, automated speech recognition. And we were tested against the group of companies that use transcriptionists and revoicers, captioning assistants. So they're tested two different groups, people who are using ASR, the automated speech, versus people who are using the transcriptionists. And in, I believe it was 4 out of 5, or it might have been 3 out of 4 of those tests, CaptionMate beat the average of the groups using communications assistants. So CaptionMate itself was deemed superior in those specific tests to the groups that were using captioning assistants. Not in all the tests, but I believe it was 4 out of the 5 tests that were done. We also, along with the other ASR company, also were faster. There was less delay in the captioning for that. So we're not always superior, and we're not saying that we're superior to every other competitor out there, but in the very narrow set of testing, which is the only testing that we're fully aware of, we beat the average, I would say. Let me grab another question here. One is, there's a lot about Zoom, so we do encourage you. This is, again, it's a fairly short webinar, but please come to our weekly webinars or give us a call and we'll do a one-on-one for you. So John, is this service approved for use in a work environment, and are the transcripts of the conversations secure?
Yes and yes. as I mentioned, I'll start from the last and move backwards. Yes, the conversations are secure. We are encrypted end to end, and we have exceeded actually all of the security and privacy regulations and policies that the FCC has in place for IP CTS. And yes, we are a viable workplace solution. A lot of folks use us in the workplace because they don't need anything special. All they need is a phone, either a cell phone or a desk phone. It doesn't matter what phone you use. And you need a CaptionMate account, obviously. So you make a CaptionMate account. You can use whatever phone you want, and you need an internet-connected screen, like your computer or your workstation, and you're off and running. And you don't need anything special. You don't need an analog phone jack. You don't need some large piece of hardware. You just need a CaptionMate account and some type of phone to speak on and a screen to read the captions on, and you're off and running. So yes, we are a viable workplace solution, and yes, it is secure.
Just to let you know, you have 5 minutes left.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Are the captions that people are viewing CaptionMate captions?
I'm not sure what people are viewing right now. I don't believe they are. I believe they are, Amanda, you can answer that. Are the captions being provided today by a CART reporter, or I'm not sure what captions they're seeing?
We have a live CART reporter captioning through Zoom.
Okay. Okay. So the answer to that is no. You're not. If you're using the captions on Zoom right now, unless you have a CaptionMate account, you're not seeing CaptionMate. You're seeing a live CART reporter provided by HLAA.
We have a question, and I'm not sure I understand it. Maybe you did, John. It says, could you use this in a group social to hear what people are saying? And I believe they're asking if it can be used in person, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. And I would say no, that's not the intention. The intention of CaptionMate is to make a live phone call, not necessarily to sit around and, let's say we're having a dinner meeting right here in the room, and for me to call the person standing a foot away from me just so we can have a conversation. That's not what its intention and its use is for. So we would discourage that if that's what the question truly is. IP CTS, this type of service, CaptionMate, is used to make live phone calls. So individuals like myself and you who have hearing loss can read what's being said. And that's what I'm doing on the screen right now. I'm talking and I'm reading. I'm not using it as a translation service because that's not what we do. I'm not using it in a group social setting so I can sit here and read what somebody right next to me is saying. That's not what it's intended for.
Someone asked, can I use the same smartphone to call into CaptionMate and to read the captions?
Absolutely. In fact, yeah, you can. I actually have, I mentioned earlier that it can be running on several different devices at once. I actually have a smartphone sitting here that it's running on right now. So yeah, ideally it's running on the same phone you're talking on. So you just sit here and you just stare at the phone and talk at the same time. Like this, and you're off and running. It was easier for me to put it on the computer screen in front of me, so I'm looking at you when I'm talking and not staring down at my phone. But yes, if you download the app onto your smartphone, you just talk and read on the same device, and it's a perfect world.
Okay, great. I do want to come back just for a moment to talk about using CaptionMate in a group setting live without a phone call. It's not only discouraged, it goes against the FCC regulations. So as John was saying, CaptionMate is for telephone calls and telephone calls only. So it's not appropriate for use in a classroom or a social setting where there's not a telephone call being made. We have quite a few people asking you to compare CaptionMate to the competitors, CapTel, InnoCaptions, etc.
You know, I'm hesitant to call out anybody by name, but I can tell you that, you know, we do offer features and things that other competitors, other IP CTS providers do not. We caption both sides of the conversation and offer 100 languages and things like that. And what I would encourage you to do, I know we're getting ready to wrap up, but what I would encourage you to do is this. Instead of me trying to call out a competitor or say we're better than this or they're better than that, what I would encourage you to do is all of these services are free. They don't cost you anything. Every one of the providers has different technology and operates in a different way. They have different levels of customer service. They have different technology. Their systems work differently. They're all free. I would encourage you to try them all and find the one that works best for you. We all have hearing loss. Our hearing loss is all individual to us and different, as are these provider services. So I would encourage you to try those, try CaptionMate. Find the one that works best for you. That's what I would encourage you to do.
And here's one asking whether
Our
CaptionMate.
time is actually up, but thank you so much, Jon and Beryl. For any questions not answered in today's presentation, our guests have graciously offered to address in a follow-up document that will be posted to the HLAA website along with the webinar recording. We'd like to thank our panelists for demonstrating CaptionMate today and thank Lisa Johnston for her amazing CART services. This webinar will be posted to the HLAA website at hearingloss.org. Please check hearingloss.org for our future webinars and webinar recordings. Thank you for joining us. Stay safe, be well, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.